Let's head back to 1954 and one of Universal's monsters. Let's do it. Hey, welcome back to my channel. Last night I jumped in my DeLorean and went back to 1954 to check out this little gem, Creature from the Black Lagoon. Now, this film came out March 5th of 1954. It's only an hour and 19 minutes long. Most of those monster films, you look back at the running times, they're all very short, 80 minutes tops, usually even a little less than that. They get right to the point. They don't monkey around. There's not a lot of fat in these films. There never was. And they're just a breeze to get through if you can handle black and white. You always got to give films the benefit of the doubt on the decades and when they were made. So if you don't like black and white films, this may not be for you, but it's always fun to go back and watch these kind of films. I remember when I was a kid sleeping over at my grandparents' house, I would sleep over on a Friday night, and at night on one of the channels, and I don't remember, it might have been TCM, I don't remember if that was around then, but it was a channel that used to play the Universal Monsters late at night. So my grandfather would stay up and watch one with me, and I'd even stay up later than that and watch another one. Usually it was a double feature. So I got to see Dracula, the Wolfman, the Invisible Man, and this film when I was young. And it always left an impression, although I own a Blu-ray, I haven't watched it in years, but let's get into this film a little bit. Now, this film was directed by Jack Arnold. Jack Arnold was no stranger to doing monster films. He had directed It Came From Outer Space. Later on, he did The Tarantula after this film. He did the sequel to it, Revenge of the Creature. And he had a long career. He directed a lot of TV later. He directed a lot of Brady Bunch episodes, Gilligan's Island. He did The Fall Guy, if you remember that show from the 80s. He did a lot of TV work later on. And a matter of fact, in 1982... John Landis wanted to remake this film with Jack Arnold directing. John Landis was going to produce the film. It never materialized. As a matter of fact, there's been many attempts to remake this film over the years. As a matter of fact, in 1992, John Carpenter was developing this script with Bill Phillips, who wrote Christine for John Carpenter, was writing the script, and Rick Baker was going to do the suit and the makeup effects for the film, which would have been incredible with Carpenter directing, but it fell apart. And then even later on in the 90s, they were planning on doing another version of it. In 2002, a matter of fact, Guillermo del Toro, who was a huge fan of Creature from the Black Lagoon, wanted to do a remake. And he was developing it, but it fell apart. And then later on, he went and did The Shape of Water, which is almost like the Creature from the Black Lagoon, kind of. But yeah, so this film they planned on remaking this film a lot, and it never happened. Now, this movie is very simple. It's basically this gentleman down in the Amazon finds this fossil from some creature. They don't know what it is. And our main characters, the first one, I'm only going to give two cast members here. Richard Carlson plays David, and Julie Andrews plays Kay, his girlfriend. And he's a marine biologist, and he's friends with this gentleman who found this fossil, and they look at it and it gets him really interested. And he talks to his boss about going into the Amazon on this river and looking to see if they could find the rest of the fossil and perhaps a new species that nobody knows about. So they hop on it, and the boss thinks it's a great idea because he wants publicity for the museum. So they hop on this boat and they go up to the Amazon. And at first, they don't find anything at first, and they're getting frustrated. But there's the captain of the ship says there's a lagoon, this tributary of the Amazon, goes downriver a little bit more to this lagoon. And supposedly there's a chance they might find something there. So there's a consensus, they all go down there. And meanwhile, we do see the creature. He's underwater and he's watching from afar. And right before they got to the Amazon, we see an attack. The creature attacks. These two gentlemen were left behind to watch the site where they found the fossil. And the creature attacks them and kills them. Our cast finds the remains of now obviously this is in the 50s. There's no gore or anything. It's all off screen. There's no, the violence is very minimum. I mean, this is old school horror films. And they find the aftermath, but they chalk it up to maybe a jungle animal might have attacked and killed these men. So they don't think anything of it. But we see the creature. We know he's around. They cut to the creature watching from underwater or from afar, just checking out. And the creature definitely has a crush on Kay, or wants human contact. And there's assumptions during this film where the creature may have come from once they realize what they're dealing with. Like it's like a fish that was developing into a man, started progressing, but stopped where it was because he has gills. And as a matter of fact, he's a gill man pretty much. And once they realize what's going on, they get to the Black Lagoon, and the creature attacks. because when they're underwater, when David goes underwater with his friend, who's actually his boss shoots it with a spear gun, and from then on out, like the creature's taking revenge on them. It attacks the boat over and over and over again and kills some of the crew members, and then finally, most of the crew's dead except for David, Kay, the captain, and this other gentleman who was the guy who facilitated the reason why they're there, and they end up shooting the creature a few more times with spear guns because it kidnaps Kay. They end up shooting the creature a few more times. And at the end, they leave him go. The creature dives back into the lagoon, sinks down into the water and out of sight, and they get away, and that's the end of the film. It's very basic, very simple. A lot of these Universal Classic monsters were very simple. And although the creature does come off as sympathetic at times, you do feel sorry for it. It's just trying to survive, and there's these interlopers coming into where he lives, because especially in the 50s, the Amazon wasn't explored that much. So if there was a creature like that there, obviously they're invading on his territory, and he's just trying to defend it. But he does attack them and kills human life. And the creature design, the suit looks great. I mean, it's one of the all-time great looking suits, even back then. And for what they were able to pull off back in the 50s, where there was two stuntmen. There was a stuntman, they had a suit for on land, which is a little bit bigger and bulkier of a suit. And there was a stuntman that did the underwater stuff, and it was a thinner suit, so he can move. And the suit does look great, and the underwater photography comes off really well, considering the time in which this film was made. And the acting's fine. The acting's good. I like the story. It's simple. It's a simple monster story that keeps you engaged. It's short enough. It's an hour and 19 minutes long. If it was any longer, that would probably overstay its welcome. This is definitely a classic monster. Of course, they played tribute to it in Monster Squad, because he shows up in Monster Squad. And I wouldn't mind seeing a remake of this film. Not CGI, though. It has to be a suit, not CGI. Please, if you ever remake it, please do not make it CGI creation, because get a good makeup effects artist and let him go nuts with the suit. But I love the design of the suit. I like this film. I always have fond memories of watching it. Obviously, it's dated. It was made in the 50s in a different era. Like I said, you got to view movies in which the decade they were made. Some movies hold up really well and are timeless. Some movies look dated but still good, and you can enjoy them on the basis of you're watching it through the lens of when it was made or when you first saw it. So this movie, for a lot of people, would look extremely dated. And if you're a younger person, I can see maybe not enjoying this as much because it's not as exciting. But I still enjoyed it. Watching it last night was a blast. I would give Creature from the Black Lagoon an 8 out of 10. Some things do come off as dated and a little cheesy, but still, it's a classic film. I really enjoy it. 8 out of 10 for the Creature from the Black Lagoon. If you've ever seen this film, leave a comment down below. Let me know. Hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, share this video. I greatly appreciate it. I'll be back for my big Halloween review. I'm going to do Creep Show. And I will see you then. Have a happy Halloween, and I'll be back soon. Thanks. Bye.